What if the thing you admire most about yourself is actually what's destroying your life? Let me ask you something. What if the biggest obstacle standing between you and the life you want isn't a lack of talent, money, or opportunity? What if it's something you've always considered one of your greatest strengths? Because some people don't procrastinate because they're lazy. They don't quit because they lack discipline. They don't abandon their dreams because they aren't capable. They do it because their standards are so impossibly high that they never feel ready. And the most dangerous part? It looks responsible, it looks ambitious, it looks like commitment, but underneath, it's fear disguised as perfection. And by the end of this video, you'll know the answer to one important question. How can you tell if your high standards are pushing you forward or quietly sabotaging your life? Picture this. You've been thinking about starting something for weeks. Maybe it's launching a business, starting a YouTube channel, going to the gym, talking to someone you've been avoiding, changing careers. Every single day, you tell yourself, I'll start tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes because there's always one more condition. I need to learn a little more. I'll wait until I have more money. I need better equipment. I need more experience. I'll do it when I finally feel ready. Meanwhile, life keeps moving. You watch people who seem less prepared than you getting results. Not because they're more talented, not because they're smarter, simply because they started, and that hurts. Because deep down you know you could do it too. Yet something always stops you. Most people think self-sabotage looks obvious. They imagine someone making bad decisions, someone giving up too soon, someone refusing to try, but self-sabotage often wears a very convincing disguise. It sounds like this. I just want to do it right. I don't want to make mistakes. I refuse to settle for less. It sounds wise, even admirable, but beneath those words, there's a question almost nobody wants to face. What if I fail? Because when your standards become impossible, you'll always have the perfect excuse not to act. You never launch the business. You never upload the video. You never apply for the job. You never ask that person out. You never write the first page. And if you never begin, you never have to risk discovering that you're not as good as you hoped. That's the real trap. You're not protecting your work. You're protecting your ego. There's a story that probably feels familiar. Someone spends years preparing, buying courses, reading books, watching endless motivational videos, planning every detail, making vision boards, writing goals, creating perfect schedules. Everything is organized, everything is ready, except they never actually start. At the same time, someone with half the knowledge decides to take action. They make mistakes, they embarrass themselves, they fail, they learn, they improve. A few years later, they're living the life the first person is still planning for. The difference wasn't intelligence, it wasn't talent, it wasn't luck, it was the willingness to be uncomfortable. Because growth never feels perfect. Most of us learned very early that mistakes were something to avoid. At school, the goal was getting the right answers. Making fewer mistakes meant getting better grades. Slowly, many of us started believing that making mistakes meant something was wrong with us. Then we became adults and carried that same belief into every part of life. We expect perfect relationships, perfect careers, perfect bodies, perfect businesses, perfect versions of ourselves. And because perfection doesn't exist, we spend years feeling like we're never enough. Here's where things become dangerous. We confuse excellence with perfectionism, but they're completely different. Excellence says, do your best with what you have today. Perfectionism says, don't start until everything is perfect. Excellence creates progress. Perfectionism creates paralysis. Excellence accepts mistakes as part of learning. Perfectionism treats mistakes as proof that you're not good enough. One helps you grow, the other keeps you standing still. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall, they get back up, they fall again. No one calls them a failure. No one expects them to walk perfectly the first day. Everyone understands that falling is part of learning. So why do we expect something completely different from ourselves? Why do we believe we should master everything before we've even begun? The truth is, many people don't actually have high standards. They have high levels of fear, and they use high standards to justify it. Because saying, I'm not ready yet, sounds much better than saying, I'm scared. Saying it's not the right time feels smarter than admitting I'm afraid of being judged, but the outcome stays exactly the same. Life keeps moving, and you stay exactly where you are. There's another hidden consequence. You never enjoy your success, because the moment you achieve one goal, your mind immediately moves the finish line. You get promoted. Now it isn't enough. You buy your dream house. Now you want a bigger one. You reach your fitness goal. Now you criticize your body even more. You hit 100,000 subscribers. Now you're frustrated because it isn't 1 million. Nothing is ever enough. You never celebrate. You never feel proud. You never slow down long enough to appreciate how far you've come, because your standards keep raising the bar, and eventually, you stop living. You only keep chasing. Some of the most successful people in the world secretly struggle with this. From the outside, they look accomplished, confident, disciplined, but inside, they're constantly disappointed with themselves. Not because they're failing, because they never allow themselves to feel successful, and over time, that mindset steals something far more valuable than achievement. It steals peace. Now imagine yourself 5 years from today. There are two versions of you. The first one kept waiting for the perfect moment. They're still planning, still researching, still doubting, still believing they need one more course, one more book, one more sign. The second version decided to begin before feeling ready. They failed, more than once. They looked foolish. They made mistakes in front of other people, but every mistake taught them something. Every failure made them stronger. Today, their life looks completely different, not because they were fearless, but because they stopped demanding perfection before taking action. So let's go back to the question from the beginning. How do you know if your standards are helping you or sabotaging you? The answer is surprisingly simple. Ask yourself this: do my standards inspire me to take action? Or do they always give me another reason to wait? If your standards push you forward, they're healthy. But if every dream comes with another excuse, if you never feel ready, if you always believe you need something more before you begin, then you're not pursuing excellence. You're feeding one of the quietest forms of self-sabotage. Because dreams are never built through perfection, they're built through consistent action. The people who transform their lives aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who stop fearing failure. So the next time that voice says, "You're not ready yet," answer it with something different. Maybe I'm not completely ready, but I'm ready enough to begin. Because the people who create extraordinary lives don't wait until they feel prepared. They understand that the greatest preparation happens while they're moving forward, and maybe you don't need higher standards. Maybe what you really need is permission to be human.